I'm James Scott, and straight ahead this week on WVU News, I'll tell you how the university is empowering students to fight back against sexual assault.
I'm Carly Posey. Straight ahead on WVU News, I'll tell you how a new lane on Mon Boulevard will ensure bicycle safety.
The votes are in and Shelley Moore Capito is your next senator. I'm Rachel Charlip and I'll tell you what that means for gun control. Our award-winning WVU News starts now.
Over 2,000 sexual assaults happened on college campuses last year. Find out what you can do to change that statistic. I'm James Scott.
And I'm Kylie Putnam. There are more pedestrians in Morgantown than anywhere else in the state. Coming up, tips for walkers to stay safe. You're watching our Safety First special edition of WVU News, an award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students at West Virginia University.
Now that Shelley Moore Capito is a West Virginia senator, gun owners wonder if stricter gun laws are coming.
Government reporter Rachel Charlip spoke to residents to find out how they feel about gun laws in the state. She joins us now with more. Rachel?
Thanks, Kylie and James. West Virginians are split on whether there should be stricter laws. This is one of many states that doesn't require private sellers to perform background checks. And Senator Capito does not plan on changing that. However, since West Virginia ranks 10th in the nation in gun violence deaths, not all Mountain State residents are happy about the lack of gun control changes.
Columbine High School,
Virginia Tech University,
Newtown, Connecticut,
Marysville, Pilchuck High.
With every gun crime, new questions are raised about gun control. And in West Virginia, newly elected Senator Shelley Moore Capito doesn't support strengthening laws regarding background checks. But gun owner Sean Dill believes that regulation is appropriate.
There is no provision that allows a private citizen to conduct a background check. And that's an area of the law that really should be fixed.
West Virginia was recently ranked second in the nation for selling guns that were involved in crimes. And under state law, a private seller is not required to perform a background check when selling online, at a gun show, or at an auction. But I recently caught up with Senator Joe Manchin, who believes that a responsible gun owner is also an informed gun seller.
We will protect the Second Amendment. You will have your rights, but we also have to have some common sense involved in this. If you don't know the person, you ought to want to know who wants your gun.
55% of West Virginians own a gun, but most who wish to sell their gun never intend for it to end up in the hands of criminals. But if you have a computer, you can verify that your third-party dealer will perform a background check, all from the comfort of your own home, just by asking for their federal firearms licensing code and entering into the website at the bottom of your screen. But Dill believes that in the end, gun control is not a partisan problem.
Republicans, Democrats, we see both sides of the aisle.
And West Virginians remain torn.
No convicted criminal, you shouldn't have them.
West Virginia is a pro-gun state.
We need more regulations.
High volumes of illegal gun trafficking and guns recovered from crimes have been found to be directly correlated with weak background check laws.
Senator Capito disagrees on the issue with Senator Manchin, who favors stricter background check laws for gun purchases. Despite the difference, the two will represent West Virginia in the Senate for at least the next 2 years. Kylie and James, back to you.
Thanks, Rachel. Sexual assaults were the second most common crime on college campuses nationwide last year.
And WVU is no exception. I spoke to one young woman about her experience as a victim of an attack.
We move on now to the big headline about sexual assault on college campuses.
Sexual assault has become a part of college life today. These attacks are often associated with alcohol, drugs, and partying, but not all victims are attacked under these circumstances.
I left my apartment around 10 o'clock to go for a run, and as I was back behind it, I was assaulted. And I still don't remember everything that happened, but I woke up about 10 miles away from here on Greenbag Road.
WVU freshman Julie Lindsay didn't report the attack. Like many young women, Julie was in denial.
What we'd like to do is to shift the way that we think about it and think about it from the standpoint of being a proactive bystander.
The Green Dot program here at WVU does exactly that. The nationwide program educates students on how to prevent sexual assaults. Green Dot students are trained to follow the 3 Ds: distract, delegate, and direct. The program's goal is to bring awareness and reduce violence. I'm here on Greenbag Road where Julie was found by her roommate after the assault. Like Julie, 1 in 4 students will be sexually assaulted while away at college. But many experts say this number is largely inaccurate because many cases go unreported.
Get your emotions out any way you can, just not hold it in. Talk to whoever you need to talk to.
Officials stress that therapy can help victims of sexual assault. About 13% of sexual assault victims will attempt suicide, which can occur years after the event. If you or someone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, you can call the number below to speak to a WVU counselor.
On a college campus with 30,000 students and counting, fire safety in residential buildings is crucial. Despite the fact that the number of students in Morgantown has doubled from 15 to 30,000 in the last 50 years, the amount of firefighters in the city remains almost the same.
That's understaffing, to say the least, and it's something that we need to look at, and if, as buildings continue to get larger in Morgantown and we start seeing more of these units, this issue needs to be addressed.
It would take about 80 firefighters to control a fire at an apartment complex like the new University Place. That's double the current staff of 42. Every 7 minutes, someone gets hit by a car, and in a town where walking is a common way to get around, pedestrians need to use caution to stay safe.
Reporter Matt Mister joins us in the studio now with tips on how you can avoid getting hurt while walking around town. Matt?
Thanks, James and Kylie. The Morgantown Pedestrian Safety Board admits they haven't made the progress they want to make. Pedestrian accidents in Morgantown have gone up from 2 per month to 3 since 2008.
Walking is the 3rd most popular form of transportation in Morgantown over the past 7 years. Nationally, driver's license ownership is at its lowest level in years. However, the increased pedestrian traffic has proven fatal 2 times in the past year.
It's not too bad. Some of the driving's a little crazy.
While not every accident is fatal, there are still about 2 incidents each month.
According to the Governor's Highway Safety Association, there were 31 deaths in West Virginia from pedestrian accidents. That made up for 9% of all fatalities in the state.
You know, we want improved infrastructure. We want to design the city for people, not just cars. You get more people when you design for people, and I think it could be a thriving town if we just embrace that.
Some residents believe the city should do something to fix this problem.
More crosswalks would be preferable.
Longer time at crosswalks to cross the street.
The Pedestrian Safety Board created a plan to help make walking safer in 2010. They also received a petition with 129 signatures. However, the City Council has yet to approve the plan.
Over the last 10 years, pedestrian deaths have increased nationwide, and they now make up about 15% of all traffic deaths. James and Kylie, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. While pedestrian deaths are decreasing in West Virginia, bicycle deaths in the state tripled in the last 4 years.
Reporter Carly Posey learns how the city of Morgantown plans to keep its bicyclists safe.
Just 1 bicycle accident a year is reported in Morgantown, but that number doesn't quite represent the true statistic because many bicycle accidents are unreported. WVU student Jackson Montgomery told me the best way to avoid an accident.
Just keep your bike in the best shape you can keep it in, make sure it's tuned up and everything, and just ride fast and pay attention to what's going on around you.
The city of Morgantown, in conjunction with the bicycle board, have come up with a plan to ensure cyclist safety. A bicycle lane that will run along Monongahela Boulevard from 8th Street to Evansdale Drive. Interim Public Works Director Damian Davis explains why it's needed.
One is visibility. Cyclists are there riding up the shoulder right now, and so this bike lane, gives them some visibility, gives people the option to see them there. The
safest way for cyclists to ride is on the roadway with motor vehicles observing the same traffic laws. Officials say most accidents occur between 4 p.m. and midnight when cyclists aren't visible to other drivers. Bicycle and pedestrian accidents account for 6.8% of all accidents in West Virginia. Officials recommend wearing a helmet and reflective clothing before going biking. Even though plans for the bicycle lane are behind schedule, the city hopes to have it completed before the end of the year. Carly Posey, WVU News, Morgantown.
Children who play sports are at risk of injuries that could harm their development.
Sports anchor Brandon Van Sickle will tell us how you can keep your kids safe in sports. Our Safety First special edition continues next.
Are you worried about your kid's safety on the football field? I'm Brandon Van Sickle, and coming up next on WVU News, I'll tell you how one local football league is keeping its athletes safe.
We're all different. Our interests, our backgrounds can influence our futures. But without focus, they're just dreams. But what if someone could give your interests life? If they could give your background power? If they could fuel what motivates you? That's what gives dreams meaning, purpose. And perhaps that was the moment you knew you wanted to be a mountaineer.
If you're a parent of a child who plays football, you'll want to hear this.
Youth leagues are teaching a new way of playing the game to keep kids safe. Sports anchor Brandon Van Sickle joins us with more. Brandon?
Thanks, James and Kylie. Coaches are starting to teach young football players not to lead into hits with their heads. The hope is that this will help kids avoid serious injuries. There are nearly 3,000 youth football leagues teaching this new style after thousands of former NFL players sued the league for health problems due to concussions.
Over 200,000 kids participate in youth football each year. That number is beginning to decrease because of the NFL's concussion crisis. But a local youth football league is educating young athletes on the proper way to play the game.
You know, we don't want kids to lead with their helmet. We want them to roll back their neck, use their body instead of their head.
That form of coaching is what experts are calling heads-up football. According to WVU athletic trainer David Kearns, head injuries at the youth level need to be taken more seriously.
The younger aged individuals should be treated a little bit more cautiously than what a college-age individual is, because the brain's still in the formative stages.
Another way to keep players safe is using the best equipment and making sure the equipment fits correctly. To make sure an athlete's helmet fits properly, you grab the face mask, turn to the left and to the right to make sure that there's no space between the forehead and the helmet pad. If there is, ask your coach for another size. This is the best way to keep your child safe from a head injury.
Football is a violent game. It's always going to be a violent game. But we have to give the kids the tools to protect them.
Concussion science today is always evolving, but with the way the NFL, NCAA, and equipment manufacturers have teamed up, kids should be much safer than in the past.
Officials stress that kids don't have to be hit hard or take a direct hit to the head to suffer a concussion. If your child gets up looking dazed, he or she should be removed from play to avoid injury. Head injuries aren't the only problems that can damage a player's career. One of the toughest to come back from is an ACL tear. These usually occur when athletes land wrong on their feet, causing the ligaments in their knee to bend and tear. Certain exercises can help players avoid these tears, which are most common in agility sports like soccer and football. Women are more likely to tear their ACL than men, and these injuries can keep athletes out of play for up to a year. Players who have already torn their ACL can re-tear it if they don't go through the proper physical therapy. Well, that's all for sports this week. James and Kylie, back to you.
In keeping with the pioneering spirit of the Mountain State, WVU engineering students are busy creating pathways to a sustainable future in transportation.
WVU is one of 16 colleges participating in the EcoCar 3 Challenge. The team is in the first year of the 4-year competition. Students will redesign a Chevrolet Camaro to minimize its environmental impact without sacrificing the car's performance. The program is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Energy and General Motors. For more information on the EcoCar 3 program, visit the website at the bottom of your screen.
That's the second time WVU students have competed in an EcoCar challenge.
Mountaineers are always looking for new ways to improve the world we live in.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's Safety First special edition of WVU News. You can visit us online at our website.
You can also watch any of our shows on YouTube, and please follow us and our reporters on Twitter. I'm James Scott.
And I'm Kylie Putnam. Thanks for watching WVU News. We'll see you next time.